Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about a muscle group that often gets overlooked but plays a crucial role in strength, aesthetics, and athletic performance, the calves. All right, let's break it down. Your calves are made up of two major muscles, the gastrocnemius, which is the visible part that gives you that beautiful shape, and the soleus, which sits underneath and plays a crucial role in endurance and stabilization. Training both effectively is the key to a well-rounded lower leg development. So why should you train your calves? Here's what strong calves can do for you. Improve your explosive power for running and jumping. Enhance overall leg aesthetics and proportion. Prevent injuries by strengthening ankle stability and increase endurance and stamina for sports and daily activities. All right, enough talk. Let's get into the workout. We're hitting the calves from all angles with 6 powerhouse exercises. I'll walk you through each one with proper form and tips to maximize your gains. Now, the first exercise is standing calf raise. Okay, there's a lot of variations for this in the gym. We can use the calf machine that we get underneath the pads and we go up and down. You can put a bar on your back. You can hold dumbbells. You have a lot of options. You can do it from the floor. You can do it from a bench, etc. But I want to make this even more detailed. And so you can just do generic straight up and down calf raises or heel raises, which is going to target your entire gastrocnemius. But if you want to actually target either more of the inside or more of the outside, here's what you're going to do. So if I want to target the inside of my calves, the medial part of the calves, I want to turn my toes out a little bit. And now what I want to do is I want to start in a little bit of a valgus. So valgus would be like I'm spraining my ankles in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from a valgus, I'm going to come up on my toes, and I'm going to go to a varus stress. So now I'm turning my ankles out. And if you can imagine what's happening here, as I'm turning my ankles out, the medial part of the calf is pulling more of my heel in, and that's stressing more of the inside of my calf, okay? If I want to work more of the outer part of my calf, I'm going to turn my toes in a little bit, and now I'm going to go from a varus stress, so like I'm spraining my ankle, so on the outside of my feet, and as I come up, I'm going to go into more of a valgus stress, like I'm going in with my feet and rolling my feet in. And I really feel that on the outside of my calves. Now, I'm going to jump up on the board. Again, I could do just regular calf raises, going straight up and down. And again, you're going to target all of the calf, no problem. But if you really want to get detailed, and I want to focus more on my inside calf, because some people actually complain about having a bigger outer calf as opposed to a bigger inner calf, or vice versa. So here's how we can actually segment out and focus more on either the inside or the outside of the calf. Now again, if I want to work the medial or the inside of the calf, I'm going to go in a little bit of external rotation from a valgus to a varus. So a little bit of external rotation, and I'm going to go a little bit of valgus, so I'm spraining my ankles in, and I'm going to raise up, and I'm going to go into a varus, back down into a valgus, back up into a varus, rolling my ankles in, rolling my ankles out. And now, if I want to go ahead and I want to do more of the outer calf, it's just the opposite. A little bit of internal rotation, going from a varus to a valgus. So a little bit of internal rotation of the feet, going from a varus, which is my ankles are out, coming up to ankles roll in. Ankles roll out, come up to ankles roll in. Ankles roll out, ankles roll in. And now I feel that much more on the inside of my calf. So ankles out and ankles in. And that's how we can segment and work out both the different parts of the calf, both inside and outside. Now the next exercise is seated calf raise. And when I do the seated calf raise, because my knee is bent, that's going to put the gastrocnemius on slack. And now I'm working predominantly with the soleus. And again, in the gym, you probably have a machine, a seated calf raise, where you can go up and down on the machine. I don't have that here in my gym. So I have dumbbells on my knees, my toes up on a bench, I'm sitting on a stool, and I can just do a generic soleus exercise where I'm raising up on my toes and going down slow, raising up on my toes and going down slow. But just like the gastroc, we can focus on medial or lateral, inner and outer. If I want to work the inner part of the soleus, I'm going to go a little bit of external rotation of my toes. I'm going to go from a valgus, so ankles go in, come up on my toes, ankles go out. Ankles go in, ankles go out. Ankles go in, ankles go out. And if I want to work on the lateral part of the soleus, take your feet, turn them in a little bit, and now go from ankles out to ankles in. Ankles out to ankles in, ankles out to ankles in. And that's how we work the soleus. And now for a more advanced calf exercise or gastrocnemius exercise, single heel raises. Single heel raises done just like we did before with the double heel raise, except for you're going to be on one leg. And again, we can do just generic straight up and down, which is going to cover the entire calf, gastrocnemius. Or we can actually make it more so we can work either more the medial side or the lateral side. So if I jump up on the step, I can be real generic and I can just do a single heel raise like this. Again, I can be holding weights. I could have a bar on my back. I could be on the machine at the gym. But again, if I want to work more of the inside calf, I'm going to turn my foot out a little bit. And I'm going to go from a valgus stress, so ankle in, to a varus stress, ankle out. Valgus stress, ankle in, to varus stress, ankle out. And if I want to work more of the outer calf, again, just the opposite, a little bit of internal rotation, going from a varus stress, which is ankle out, to a valgus stress, which is ankle in. Again, ankle out, ankle in, ankle out, and ankle in. And that's how we do single heel raises. Now, the next exercise is a farmer's walk, carrying some weight on your tiptoes. And again, I don't have a lot of space here in my studio, but I'll up on my toes and I would just walk. I'll just pretend like I'm walking in circles, but you're staying on your toes. Now, one thing that I would challenge you to do is that's for the gastrocnemius, but we also have this muscle called the tibialis anterior. And I think sometimes we have too much of a muscle imbalance between the two. So I would do a set of walking on your toes. And then what I would do then from there is I would do a farmer's carry where you're walking on your heels. And when you're walking on your heels, you have to keep your toes up. And now what you're doing is you're working more of the tibialis anterior. And now for the tibialis anterior, again, a very often overlooked muscle. I think a lot of times the reason why we have shin splints is because of this big muscle imbalance between the calves and the tibialis anterior. Now there's a lot of ways to isolate and strengthen the tibialis anterior. They even make a machine now that you can hook your toes underneath and pull your toes up, pull your toes up. But here's some variations that you can do at home. You could just lean against the wall and then focus on pulling your toes up and down, up and down. I also have a little bit of a step here, which I like to do because now I can do an increased range of motion. So I put my heels on the step, hold on to something, pull the toes up as far as you can, pause and down slow, pull your toes up, pause and down slow, pull your toes up and pause and down slow. And now another thing that you can do is you can actually work on an eccentric, because a lot of times it's the tibialis anterior when your heel strikes the floor and then your foot is lowering to the ground. That's an eccentric component of the tibialis anterior. So you could take something like a foam roller, a stick, a golf shaft, a golf club, a broom handle, anything like that. Pull your foot up, put the foam roller on top of your foot, and now push down, but resist. Pull back up, push down, and resist. Go down really slow. So you're doing the eccentric component of the tibialis anterior, working on the eccentrics. And then one that I really like to do is sitting on your butt like this, and you can have somebody at home put their hands on top of your feet like that, and now you have to pull them up and then make them push you down, pull them up, make them push you down, or you could simply do that to yourself. Put your other heel on your foot and come up and then push yourself down. Pull your foot up, push your left heel down into your toe and resist it going down nice and slow. Pull up against resistance, go down against resistance, go up against resistance, go down against resistance, go up against resistance, and go down against resistance. And that really works the tibialis anterior. Okay, we have now strengthened the gastrocnemius and the soleus and the tibialis anterior. And now, if we strengthen a muscle, we got to stretch a muscle. So I'm choosing to do the myofascial stretch. You can do the generic, put your foot up on a step and drop your heel to the floor or push against a wall. But because I showed you how to isolate out both the inside and the outside calf, what I want to do or the gastrocnemius, I want to show you how to stretch each. So I'm going to do the generic stretch. We'll do the right side where I put my hands on a wall and I bring my right foot back. And I get in a position where I go ahead and I feel like a stretch in my calf. Now, if I want to stretch the outer calf, I'm going to turn my foot in a tiny bit, so internal rotation. I'm going to pull up my big toe. I'm going to push the crown of my head to the ceiling, tuck my tail. So a little bit tuck of the tail. And now I'm going to bring my right hand, bring it above my head. In my brain, I'm creating a link between my right palm and my right heel. And I'm going to lean into the stretch, and the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my outer ankle bone and I'm going to push it down to the floor like I'm spraining my ankle, and now I feel that stretch predominantly on my outer calf. I hold and breathe for 30 seconds, and when I'm done, I slowly relax. If I want to stretch the inner gastrocnemius or the medial gastrocnemius, I turn my foot out just a tiny bit. I get the same position. I pull up the big toe, tuck my tail, push the crown of the head to the ceiling, bring the arm above the head in full external rotation, spread the fingers, pull the wrist back, go into my stretch, and now in my brain, I'm going to go ahead and push the inside ankle bone down to the floor, like I'm spraining my ankle in, and now I feel that predominantly on the inside of my calf. And remember, you can do these off of a step as well, just like I'm doing right now. After 30 seconds, slowly relax. And now I'm going to show you how to stretch the soleus. Now this is the myofascial stretch for the soleus. Now I'm using a yoga block. The yoga block might be a little too thick. All you need is just a little bit of lift underneath the ball of the foot. You're going to make sure that your toe and your knee are in alignment. Heel pushes down to the floor, push the crown of the head to the ceiling, tuck the tail, and now put your hands on top of your thigh. By pushing your heel down into the floor, I want you to drive your knee straight over your toe until you get a pull in your soleus. And then on this one, you're going to hold and breathe for 30 seconds. And this is how you stretch your soleus. This is how you're going to stretch the tibialis anterior. Now there's a lot of variations of this particular stretch. But if we're going to stretch them both at the same time, I'm going to go on my knees, I'm going to take my feet, and I'm going to plantar flex them down to the floor. So I'm like this. And now, whatever you can do with your body, your goal is to sit back on your heels. And as you slowly sit back onto your heels, you're going to be pushing those ankles into more plantar flexion. Erect your spine, push the crown of your head into the ceiling, chin is in, eyes are down. Nice tuck of the tail, so you have a nice straight spine. And you're just going to sit back on your heels for 30 seconds. Now, if you want more of a stretch, you can put your hands on the floor and you could lift your left knee off the floor, and that's going to give me much more of a stretch into my left tibialis anterior. I could put my hands on the floor and lift my right knee off the floor, and that's going to give me much more of a stretch into the tibialis anterior. And now if you really want to get a stretch into your tibialis anterior, you can try to do individually. And I'll try my right side. This is a really difficult stretch. I'm going to bring my left foot in front. And now I'm going to go ahead and sit back on my right foot. And now you got variations again. I could literally pick my holding myself up, I could pick my right knee off the floor. That's going to give me a big stretch. And I could also even start lifting my left foot off the floor, and that's going to give me even more of a stretch into the tibialis anterior onto my right side. And that's how we stretch the tibialis anterior. Add this to your routine 2 to 3 times a week, and you'll see major improvements in strength, size, and endurance.